audit findings, then budget and income. You're just going to read the title, which is the query itself, the budget and income. Then you come to the cause of the query, which is management response. So you proceed in that fashion. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Under budget and income, local taxes, cause of the query, the Council wishes to acknowledge the auditor's observations and wishes to report that the under-collection was due to non-compliance by property owners. And the main complaint that was coming from the community was that the rates were very, very high, especially on the values computed at the time of valuation. The action taken, Chair, the Council has intensified the sensitization and vigorously making follow-ups on those that are failing to pay. The Council had also issued the warrant of distress and delivered to the resident magistrate in Luangwa for execution. Reference is made to the above, to the appendices 1. Remedial measures, the Council has continued sensitizing the community on the importance of paying proper trace to the local authority. 2, the Council has also started the process of updating the valuation roll. Under fees and charges, cause of the query, the Council wishes to acknowledge the auditor's observations and wishes to report that the under-collection on the fees and charges, which include the following: plot premium, survey fees, application forms, was due to the plot which were not created. Hence, there was no sale of plots, application forms, and survey fees. Action taken, the Council has budgeted for the differential GPS in the 2023 budget, which will help us to create more plots, Chair. 2, the Council has also employed the land surveyor through the Local Government Service Commission. We can refer to Appendix 1B. Remedial measure, the Council has continued to sensitize the community on the importance of paying council fees. Under levies, cause of the query, the Council wishes to acknowledge the auditor's observation and wishes to report that this was due to floods at the harbour that affected the collection of fish levy in the first quarter of the year. Action taken, the Council has planned to construct a market on the upper land in Soweto area along D145. Remedial measure, the Council will ensure that the construction of a market is done. B, the query, operation matter, environmental management. Cause of the query, the Council wishes to report that the environmental project brief was not in place at the time of audit. 2, the dump site was not fenced at the time of audit due to financial constraints. 3, the covering of the waste was not done because of the grader, which was not operational at the time of audit. Action taken, the Council wishes to report that the EPB was prepared and submitted to ZEMA for approval. 2, game wire for fencing the dump site has been procured and the process of fencing has commenced. 3, the covering of the dump site was done. The details are, the references are there, Chair, at Appendix 2. Remedial measures. The Council will ensure that the license from ZEMA is obtained. 2, the Council will ensure that the fencing of the dump site is completed. 3, the Council will ensure that fencing and covering, compacting and covering of garbage is maintained. Under management of payroll and other staff-related matters. Query, failure to fill vacant positions. Cause of the query. The Council wishes to acknowledge the auditor's observations and wishes to report that the mandate of employing officers in Division 1 to 3 was for the Local Government Service Commission. Action taken. The Council submitted the vacant status reports for critical positions for which the Local Government Service Commission have employed 4 officers. Remedial measures. The Council will ensure that the vacant positions are filled gradually, taking into consideration the capacity to pay salaries by the local authority. Overemployment of staff. Cause of the query. The Council wishes to acknowledge the auditor's observation and wishes to report that the overemployment was due to transfers by the Local Government Service Commission. Action taken. The Council wishes to report that the Council had submitted the excess number of employees to the Local Government Service Commission, of which 2 out of 3 officers have been redirected to other councils. Remedial measures. The Council will ensure that the Local Government Service Commission is informed whenever transfers are made for positions that are already filled. The next query is officers absent from work without authority. Cause of the query. The Council wishes to acknowledge the auditor's observation as wishes to report that the officer travelled before authority was granted by the Local Government Service Commission for fear of losing the opportunity of the government-initiated sponsored program. Action taken. The Council wishes to report that the officer was charged and he exculpated himself, and the Local Government Service Commission was informed accordingly. Remedial measure. The Council will ensure that the officers obtain authority from the Local Government Service Commission before they go to school. Management of assets. The query, lack of title deeds. Cause of the query. The Council wishes to report that the title deeds were not obtained because the properties were not surveyed and numbered. Action taken. The Council wishes to report that 1, the properties have been surveyed and numbered. 2, the offer letters have been obtained and awaiting the issuance of the title deeds by the Minister of Lands. 3, all council properties have been insured. Refer to Appendix 6. Remedial measures. The Council is committed to ensuring that title deeds are obtained for all council properties and will continue to make follow-ups at the Minister of Lands. E, management of fire services. Query, failure to provide protective clothing for firefighters. Cause of the query. The Council wishes to report that this was due to financial constraints the Council experienced during the year 2021. Action taken. The Council wishes to report that the protective clothing for the officers have been procured. Remedial measures. The Council will ensure that the fire officers are equipped with appropriate protective clothing in line with Section 16 and Subsection 1 of the Occupational Health and Safety Act, number 36 of 2010, and ensure that they keep their protective gear properly. 2, the query failure to ensure fire officers. Because of the query, the Council wishes to report that the officers had not been insured at the time of audit due to financial constraints the local authority faced during the period under review. Action taken. The Council wishes to report that 13 fire officers have been insured. Remedial measure. The Council will ensure that fire officers are insured annually. F, management of the local government equalization fund. Query, misapplication of funds. Because of the query, the Council wishes to report that the funds were due to the funds were used due to finance the shortfall on salaries due to huge wage bill. Action taken. The Council has put in place a payment plan, and 10,000 kwacha will be repaid every month. Refer to Appendix 9. Remedial measure. The Council will ensure that capital funds are spent on capital projects in accordance with the Local Government Act, number 2 of 2019. 2, failure to reimburse borrowed fund. Because of the query, the Council wishes to report that this was due to a shortfall on salaries and the low revenues collected to meet the net wage bill. Action taken. The Council has put in place the repayment plan, and 10,000 kwacha will be paid every month. Refer to Appendix 9. Remedial measures. The Council will ensure that capital funds are spent on capital projects in accordance with the Local Government Act, number 2 of 2019. Road maintenance. Because of the query, the Council wishes to acknowledge the auditor's observation and wishes to report that the culverts were not installed because they were not budgeted for. Action taken. The Council has done the repropping on gullies and depressions where water passes. Remedial measure. The Council will ensure that the culverts are budgeted for in the year 2024. Query, airstrip grading, 4.5 hectares. Because of the query, the Council wishes to report that the usable land that was budgeted for is 0.4 hectares, and it was worked on as observed by the auditors. Additionally, the Council wishes to report that the poor workmanship was due to lack of proper earth-moving equipment. Action taken. The Council wishes to report to the Council has procured a new motor grader under the Constituency Development Fund and is planning to procure other earth-moving equipments such as the tipper truck, front-end loader, and compactor to help in maintenance of the airstrip, township roads, and feeder roads within the district. Remedial measures. The Council will ensure that the airstrip is properly maintained. G, management of Constituency Development Fund and implemented approved projects. Because of the query, the Council wishes to acknowledge the auditor's observation and wishes to report that this was due to delayed approval by the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. Refer to Appendix 10. Action taken. The Council wishes to report that the procurement process for 2021 Constituency Development Fund projects commenced immediately after the Ministry approved the projects in October 2022 and not on 21st April 2021 as indicated in the auditor's observations. Refer to Appendix 10. Remedial measure. The Council will ensure that the approved projects are implemented in accordance with the Constituency Development Fund Act and the Constituency Development Fund guidelines. H. Management of liabilities. Failure to remit statutory and other obligations. Because of the query, the Council wishes to acknowledge the auditor's observations and wishes to report that this was due to financial constraints being experienced by the Council to meet the gross wage bill. Action taken. The Council has been making payments to various statutory bodies as and when funds are available, and also the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development has been deducting at source from the Local Government Equalization Fund contributions for LASIF, Zulau, and Fasuzi. The Council managed to remit a total sum of 250,463 to the various statutory bodies. Further, the Council made a request to the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development for a possible increase on the Local Government Equalization Fund allocation to Luangwa Town Council, of which the Ministry responded. An agreement was also made with National Pension Scheme Authority for a debt swap involving land in 2017, but later on they rescinded their decision. Refer to Appendix 11. Remedial measure. The Council will strive to remit as much as possible the contributions to the various institutions as and when funds are available. Failure to settle staff obligations. Cause of the query. The Council wishes to acknowledge the auditor's observations and wishes to report that this was due to financial constraints being experienced by the local authority to meet the staff obligations as they fall due. Action taken. The Council has been liquidating staff obligations as per the payment plan in place. The Council has paid a total sum of 429,926,000. You can refer to Appendix 11. Remedial measure. The Council will ensure that the payment plan is adhered to. I therefore, Chair, wish to submit to this committee that all remedial measures submitted shall be improved to enhance on the accountability functions in order to attain expected service delivery to the community. I submit, Chair.
Thank you very much, Council Secretary. Honorable members, that's a submission from Luangwa Town Council. Honorable Simumba.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, I'll take you to page 1, budget and income, locally generated funds. When you look at fees and charges, Chair, in his submission, he has stated to say under fees and charges, they failed. I can just say under fees and charges, you indicated that you couldn't achieve the budgeted amount because the plots were not created. And this is where you were expecting some funds to collect. Now, I wanted to find out, Chair, why did you plan to collect revenue from the plots which had not been created at the time of budgeting? I would want to find out from the
Thank you.
CS. Thank you.
Okay, on the same. Yes, yes, sir. Yes.
Thanks very much, Chair. Good morning, witness. My name is Mishek Nyambose, Chasefu Member of Parliament. Welcome. Mine, Chair, is on page one. Page 1 on local taxes, Chair. They budgeted to collect 642,970 kwacha. They only collected 131,955. And the reasons that have been given is that the ratepayers complained of the high rates that the council came up with in the valuation roll. And I will refer, Chair, to Appendix 1. If you look at the warrants of distress, Chair, that have been issued by the council to collect these rates, you will note that some of the ratepayers owe the council 2,000 kwacha. Council Secretary, a ratepayer failing to pay for the whole financial year 2,000 kwacha, and they are complaining that the rate poundage or the rates are high, and you failed to collect these rates from the people. You have further gone to the remedial measure, Chair. If you look at the remedial measure that they have put in place, bullet number 2 there, or not bullet number 2, Roman numeral number 2, the council has started the process of updating the valuation roll. Here you have this valuation roll. You are failing to collect, and you have cited reasons that people are refusing to pay because the rate is high. As high as 2,000 kwacha per annum per year. People are failing to pay. I can't understand. Council Secretary, why are you failing to collect rates that are very obvious to collect, such as the 2,000 kwacha from a ratepayer for the whole year? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Council Secretary, those two.
Thank you, Chair. I will explain a bit, then I will allow the Treasurer and the DPO to also amplify, with your permission.
Yes,
Chair, as to why did we plan or budget for the items that we knew very well that we are not going to collect anything? Chair, at the time of budgeting and planning, we normally don't have a challenge. But the problem comes in when we start at implementation stage. That's when we go on the ground, that's when we find that there are this and that encumbrances. But at the time when we are budgeting, we normally don't see any problem. We normally engage the communities, and they seem to be agreeable. But again, when you go on the ground, you start implementing, that's when now we see that we have these challenges. And maybe just because of one person influencing the entire community, then we find those challenges. That I'm speaking this from experience, what normally happens when we start implementing or executing the budgets. So as for now, Chair, we don't have this problem. We have engaged the community, and we have agreed, and we have proceeded, and we have created a number of plots which we have offloaded to the general public as at now. Then come to the next.
Chair, I think before he comes to the second question, Chair, they budgeted for those plots, and they were sure that they are going to collect some funds from the very plots that they budgeted for. Now, when you look at the cause of the query, the council is acknowledging to say the council wishes to acknowledge the auditor's observation and wishes to report that the under collection on the fees and charges, which include the following: it was due because the plots were not created. Hence, there was no sale of application forms or plot premium. They never created, Chair, but why did they budget for something that they knew that they are going not to create? That's my question, Chair. I submit.
Thank you. Council Secretary, the question is, why did you sell the plots that were not there?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, indeed, we do the estimates. We do the estimates, not really like we have already created. We do the estimates that we are going to create so many pieces of plots in this area. And we, through the preliminary assessment, through planning, they normally give us the assurance that definitely give management assurance that we are going to create so many plots. But as I said earlier, when we go on the ground now to do the actual work, where now they want to implement what they planned, that's where now they face those encumbrances and challenges, which sometimes lead to failure to create those plots. And
the Council Secretary, those plots, same plots, when you are creating plots, you are creating plots of different sizes. There are ones for low cost, medium cost, high costs, small holdings. And once you create those, then they will give you the rough estimation, because if you have small holdings about 20, you know how much each one. But in that case, where did you base even your estimates?
Thank you, Chair. If you could allow me to allow the DPO also to come in and amplify.
DPO?
Okay, thank you, Chair. Our estimate was coming from an area that we had earmarked for creation of plots, but at the time when we hadn't yet gone on the ground, we were still ascertaining our township boundary. So that was one of the things that had actually derailed us in executing this task. But currently, or at the time now, we had we rectified this issue with over the township boundary, and now this
DPO are creating more problems, actually, like where he's asking. You don't even have the land at that time. You didn't even have the land, because there are still disputes, isn't it?
No, we had the land. We were just still ascertaining the boundary, because at the time we were not sure. There was a boundary issue between the traditional side and the state side. Yeah.
Chair, as you have indicated, I think we are not being assisted. Not only this committee, but even the community of Luangwa and the nation. You cannot base your estimates and put figures on something that has not yet been finalized. You are acknowledging to say you had not ascertained boundary, meaning it is not yet your land. You don't know the extent of your land. So how do you come up with a budget that we are going to collect so much from the same before you ascertain the boundary? How do you do that? Because you overstated your budget, and now you have failed to collect anything. Which comes first, Council Secretary? You have to ascertain to get something that is predictable, then you budget for it, or something that you just dream about. Next year we shall find this, then we are going to budget on it, and we shall collect so much.
Dr. Chirufya?
Thank you very much, witness. Welcome. Yeah, my name is Charles Chirufya. I do
Maybe,
take note of.
sorry, maybe you introduce yourself as well.
My name is Chitalu Chulufia. I'm Member of Parliament for Massa Central and welcome witness. Chair, I think it is clear from the team that they were ambitious in making their budget, and I think the learning point is that planning is a science, and you have to plan based on reasonable parameters, and your plan must be smart. Your targets must be smart, must be realistic. Yeah. So having learned that point, I'm sure your next budget will be more evidence-based, so that your projections could be accurate. I just want to take you to the remedial measure that you talked about, the community being sensitized on the importance of paying property rates to the local authority. Yeah, I will preface my comment on this with the statement that the council is supposed to provide services, social services to the community, and they will provide these services using the revenue that they collect. And so the community is involved in raising the same revenue that the council will use to provide those social services. And that's the importance of sensitizing the community. So would you just unzip this term sensitization? How are you sensitizing the community? How are you ensuring that the community is on board and they see themselves as part of a solution to their own problems, other than perceiving you as people persecuting them and following them, you know, for money at the end? How are you doing this sensitization? How much community involvement is there?
Thank you. Maybe there are two main.
That was my question, which has not been tackled.
Yes, that's why I want to remind ourselves that there are too many questions. They might not tackle some of the questions. So start from the area question and then the follow-up questions.
Yes, Chair. Thank you so much. As regard to the question that was raised by the Honorable Nyambose, relating to the failure to collect even the smallest amount, which is about 2,000. Chair, collection of revenue is a continuous process, and we are still pursuing this revenue collection. And they are paying slowly, and we are also following them. So even this one, it's not like the amount that the final amount which they're supposed to pay. They are paying installments, because to pay the total amount at once, they are failing. So they are paying in installments. So this is a balance that we are also trying to pursue, so that the property payer can pay. So this is a balance which is still there, which we haven't yet.
I think the question from the member, the honorable member, was why should somebody, or why should you fail to collect 2,000 from the ratepayer for the whole year? I think, was that your question, Honorable Nyambose? Say no, the whole year you fail to, you as a local authority, to collect for the whole year 2,000. If you divide 12 into 2,000, how much would you collect even in a month?
Chair, maybe I can rephrase it. Maybe I put it this way. I should just, okay, let me back it up. The more reason the council is existing is provide social service. You can only provide social services when you collect from the communities the little taxes and also give back to the community, which Rwangwa is failing. When you look at this Appendix 1, the outstanding amounts owed to the council, the maximum, Chair, is from Mr. Stewart Cook, number 15. If we are there, are you seeing? It's 80,995. And I should think that this is a very big institution. The rest of the local taxes, the highest is 11,000 kwacha. Now, Council Secretary, if you are failing to pay 11,000 kwacha or 2,200 kwacha, which is, if you divide it, you come up with a payment plan per month, it's about 188 kwacha. If you are failing to pay these taxes, how are you running the council? And what measures to indicate that you really pursued these ratepayers to pay this money? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Council Secretary.
Yes, Chair. I have this updated one, which contains the same Stuart Cook to show that, Chair, we are pursuing. And this client has paid the total sum of 90,380 as at now. So we are still pursuing, and our property payers are complying and paying. As I said earlier, some are failing, but they're paying installments.
Yes.
And this is one of the examples
Not
that
to
I
cut,
can give.
not to cut you short, Council Secretary. Yes, you're explaining a lot of things. That example you're giving is in line with what the honorable members are asking. But one specific question, he is being very specific, that if somebody owes you about 2,000, do you need 12 months to offset that or to pay that amount, which comes to about 188 in a month? Why is it not possible? Yes, we appreciate that one, whether it's Cook, that he can take that long, because we presume that's a very big organization and they are doing everything within their means. They are showing that they are paying. But how about somebody who owes you 2,000? Treasurer.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes, Chair. I think basically for the property rates, I think like we've indicated, the challenge has been on the rates. Yes, the figures could be small, but they're also comparing with the kind of property that they own, and they feel it is still too much. And we've been trying to explain to them on one-on-one, even just using the PS system, going around the community, just to sensitize on the importance of paying these fees. That's the only fees that will allow us to get back to them and provide the services they need. But of course, these complaints have continued. And I think the other question the Honorable Member posed was that why are we planning to update the evaluation role? Our role was done in 2017. So as of 2022, it came to an end. So we are doing a fresh one for 2023 and hoping these changes of the high rates will be tackled during the current evaluation role that we'll be doing now. I think basically that's what I can submit, sir.
Although it may look technical, the only asset that gains value is a house or such structures. From 2017 to date, these structures or houses or properties have gained value. How do you expect to have a reduction? And Chair, I will demonstrate as we go through the report that this council is not doing anything to collect local taxes, as they are just depending on local government equalization fund, and that is the money that they are using to run the affairs. Because 2,000 kwacha the whole year, this council can come and appear to say we are failing to collect, people are complaining. I think we are not seeing any effort, Chairperson. Council Secretary, these figures you have demonstrated, you have indicated, do you see any effort by the council to collect these fees? 2,000 kwacha, so many of them, 2,000 per year. I can't understand.
Honorable Gatuta, then Honorable Sumumba, and then Honorable Kapampi. Please take note of the questions. We would not want to leave any question.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, witness. I'm Reverend Given Katuta Mwilwa, and I represent the good people of Chienge in Luapula Province. I'm the vice chair of this committee. I listened to the district planning officer when he was talking about the budgeting basing on the plots that you would have had. Now, the question is, how do you budget for something that you have not even serviced? Because before you even think of collecting rates or anything, or to raise money by selling those plots, I think the council should have the land and also plan it after it has been planned, and then the area is serviced, and then uh, the, the community or the citizen, they start buying those plots. Now it's like it's becoming a norm with the councils nowadays. You get just one green field, and then you start asking for money. When they pay is when you go to start making those demarcations of 3 by, is it 30 by 40 or whatever. I feel that's unfair and unprofessional and it's quite unethical. Now, the question is, how do you budget for something that you do not have? Just like you just imagine, then you start making budgets. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Smumba.
Thank you very much, Chair. When you look at the very locally generated funds, they budgeted for 3,881,113, and they only managed to raise 2,667,307. My question is, and Chair, they are failing even to collect the very 2,000 on the warrant of distress. I wanted to find out from the Council Secretary, what are some of the services that you are giving to the people of Luangwa, bearing in mind that you are also failing to collect some of these taxes? I thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Kapampi.
Good morning, Chair, once again. I just want to find out from the Council Chair, after issuing the warrant of distress on local taxes, we've been told to say due to non-compliance. After issuing the warrant of distress, how much have you collected? How much revenue have you collected upon issuing that warrant? I submit, Chair.
Thank you very much. There are quite a number of questions. Council Secretary, with your team.
I think for the question of what should come first as we are doing the budget, as regard to the properties that we wanted to create, the plots. I think that one we have taken note that going forward, we will not include items that are not yet concluded. So going forward, we have taken note on that one. We'll be able to plan for items that we know and very sure that we will be able to collect money from. So this now brings me to the next one, which says, as regard to proper traits, maybe I can combine it with the last one, which is after issuing the warrant of distress and the effort that we are putting in place to collect these properties. I have this summary, Chair. As at now, we have managed to collect 102,971 out of the 138,467. So we are still going, and definitely we'll be able to collect all the monies that that the council is owed.
Okay, another question from the members.
Then the other one is the services. Chair, thank you very much. Chair, we are doing garbage collection. We are doing garbage collection and also street lighting. We are also providing the service of noise pollution in the district from the bars. We are doing the night patrols because in most cases we get complaints from the community that certain bars are operating beyond the hours. So we are intensifying on the patrols. so that everyone is able to comply with the law. So that's what we are doing in the district. Even the street, I was talking about street um, uh, cleaning, and also the issue of garbage, especially this time of the rain season. We see that even the garbage generation is quite high, because we are receiving people from Chipata, some from Lusaka, to come to Luangwa for business. So even the garbage generation is quite high, so we are providing that service to the people of Luangwa. I think maybe in a nutshell, those are the things that I can mention.
Okay, Honorable Simumba.
I think the last one, Chair. I wanted to find out, there is other income. You budgeted for 45,000 and you managed to collect 175, 939, with a variance, positive variance of 130. What are these other incomes? Thank you, Chair.
Treasurer.
On levies, Chair, page 2, the Council wishes to acknowledge the auditor's observation and wishes to report that this was due to floods at the harbour that affected the collection of fish levy in the first quarter of the year. I'm interested on the action taken. The Council has planned to construct a market on the upperland. Where have you gotten this money? Is it CDF? Is it local government equalization fund? Or is it locally? Any evidence to show that you are undertaking this very mammoth task to build a market, looking at the revenue collection and performance? Thank you, Chair.
Treasurer, you start with Honorable Simon.
Chair, other incomes, there are those incomes that we just introduced on the that is on the boats. We charge them certain fees on the boats that we are now collecting for those that are landing, offloading goods and picking up people as they go to Mozambique or Zimbabwe. And also there was also the part of interest on the CDF. That is also part of the other income that we budgeted under that budget line. But then on the collections, you've seen that the amount went slightly higher. I think in 2018, I think the council got a loan from the bank, and apparently at that time, they were asked to pay a deposit of 20%, which was a security. So when we finished paying for the loan in 2021, the bank reimbursed those funds which we did not anticipate. So that's how this figure also was pushed up in terms of collections. Okay, we submit.
Okay, the question from Honorable Nyambose. Do you have the budget? Do you have the money for the upperland construction of a market?
Chair, yes, indeed. The community themselves actually had spoken, and they have even submitted the form to the CDFC committee, and we are very sure that the committee will be able to consider this, because it came from the community themselves.
So it's to be constructed
because
under
they've seen,
CDF?
yes, because they've seen the challenge that they are facing.
All right, members, you can move. Yes, Honorable Simumba.
Thank you, Chair. To page, I'll take you to page 3.
Page 3.
Where environmental matters. The council has admitted, Chair, that the council is operated Chilombwe dump site without approval from Zema. Chair, I wanted to ask, why was the council illegally operating a dump site not approved by Zema? I thank you, Chair.
Council Secretary.
Yes, Chair. I think as we have already indicated, the problem was that the EPB document was not ready And the council has since prepared that one and submitted to ZEMA so that they can come and do the inspection and eventually issue the certificate so that now we can start operating legally.
Thank you. But on the same, when you look at all the three bulletins, the council did not compact or cover the waste. The dump site was not fenced. But at the before going to the local government equalization fund, but when you look at the local government equalization fund, the money that you get, you even have the money that you carry forward. You don't use that money. You don't fence the dump site. You don't compact it. You don't cover it when the money is there. Instead, actually, you borrow the money, use the money for other things. Why don't you pay attention? Why didn't you pay attention to the dump site?
Thank you, Chair. That's very true, and those issues were noticed, and from the, we have really stopped using capital for other operations. We want to spend capital on capital projects, and that's why we have even managed to compact the dump site, and we have procured the wire so that we can do the fencing. Just because now we have started, we have stopped using the capital for other.
Dr. Chirusha.
Thank you very much. Do you have a health inspector in your council?
Yes, Chair.
Okay, thanks. It's important that you strengthen your correlation or collaboration with DHMT to ensure that solid waste disposal does not put the community at risk. When we hear of cholera outbreaks or outbreaks of waterborne diseases, or indeed of pathogens with epidemic potential, it is because of underlying problems such as this. So we shouldn't be reactive, we should be proactive. So this should not be taken lightly. When you fail to dispose of solid waste effectively, you are predisposing the whole community to risk. And longer being a transit town, it means the whole country becomes at risk. So, Council Secretary, I'd like you to take this very seriously. Look at the whole public health policy, solid waste disposal, gaseous waste disposal, liquid waste disposal, and ensure that you optimally dispose of this to ensure that the public is not put at risk.
Thank you. Honorable Nyambose.
Another question?
Yeah,
We are still on the same.
Another question is fine.
Another question, page 5, Chair.
5.
Overemployment of staff. Chair, an examination of the establishment register revealed that some positions were overstaffed. In particular, it was observed that there were 4 authorized positions which were to be filled by 4 officers but were instead filled by 7 officers, resulting in excess of 3 officers. The 3 officers were paid salaries amounting totaling to 356,040 kwacha. My question is, number 1, which positions were overstaffed? Second, when you refer to Appendix 4, on the action taken you have given Council Secretary, you say the Council wishes to report that the Council had submitted the excess number of employees to the Local Government Service Commission, on which 2 out of the 3 officers who have been redirected to other councils. I want you to take us to Appendix 4. First question, which positions were overstaffed? Then second, the officers who were sent to the commission for transfer to other councils on Appendix 4, because the appendix is not correlating to what you have written. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Another one, Chair.
Yes, Honorable Simamba.
On the same chair, I wanted to find out what measures, what did the council do in order to curb this situation of overemployment before the auditors came. What action did you take as a council after knowing that there were overemployment of staff before the auditors? I thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Council Secretary, those two questions.
As regard to the positions that were overemployed, we have more clerical officers and officers from public health. Instead of one, we had two. And the other one is the other one is the district accountants. We had two district accountants, two clerical officers, and also more clerical officers, and also the two public health officers. So from the submission we made to the commission, where they even acted, they redirected one clerical officer to, should be Kawe, and the other one, district accountant, was taken to Lusaka. We are remaining with public health. There are still two. So one should also be taken to other councils. So the commission is looking for a space where they can redirect this office.
Okay. Another question? Another question?
Then in fact, there are quite a number. There is also this one which, what did the council do in order to curb the, yeah, in fact, we submit to the commission the quarterly monthly, in fact, staff return. Every month we submit the monthly staff return, which shows the positions and also the vacancies which are there.
Okay, honorable members, another question? Yes.
On the same page, Chair, page 5, officer absent from work without authority. Chair, this is an interesting one, and I've taken an account of the proceedings of the council and management. Chair, on this particular one, it is concerning the deputy director of works, who applied to go on leave, to study leave in Czechoslovakia. On the 16th of August, the director of works applies for local leave to study, to prepare logistics to go to Czechoslovakia. 16th August, take note of the dates. On the 18th, that is 16th of August 2021, the deputy director applies to go for first to take leave, local leave, so that he prepares for logistics and other documentations to go abroad. On the 18th of January 2022, the council approved, and the minutes, extracts of the minutes are there, approved, that was in January 18, on January 18, 2022, approves leave pending approval of the Local Government Service Commission Chair. On the 24th of June 2022, the Council Secretary writes to the Commission informing them about the Council's recommendation. Again, the Council Secretary, before that, on September 29th, 2021, before this Council meeting and the Council writing to the Commission, making that, informing them about the recommendation, the Council Secretary communicates to the Commission about management's decision to grant permission to the Deputy Director of Works to go on stand leave. In 2021, management meeting, you write to the Commission. Then the Council in January meets, they make a resolution to permit him to go. July 29th, 2022, the Council Secretary, now Mr. Mulenga, should be yourself, Mr. Mlenga, Council Secretary, you charge the Deputy Director of Works for absenteeism. 8th August 2022, the Deputy Director of Works exculpates himself, and I should believe that he's already in Czechoslovakia. He's exculpating himself and acknowledges the omission and abrogation of the conditions of service. 5th September 2022, a letter again reminding the Commission about the Deputy Director's Works charge letter, and yet no response, Chair. This is the event, how things went on. Meaning that the Deputy Director of Works took leave without approval of the Commission, and he stayed away from work for more than 10 days. I'm talking about his local leave, which was not permitted. Further, he went abroad to study without authority of the Commission, which is against the conditions of service that are there for the workers to observe. My question is, what is the position over this matter of absenteeism and going on leave without authority? Thank you, Chair.
Council Secretary.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chair. Yes, indeed, this officer, on the first one, where says local leave was not permitted, local leave was granted by the principal officer, and that's the more reason why this officer went. And in the process, well, in fact, it was granted so that he can prepare himself and also maybe wait for the authority to come from the Local Government Service Commission. So within that period, everyone thought that they would be able to receive the grant from the authority from the Local Government Service Commission. But that was not done. But in terms of leave was granted. Then, as regard to the position over the same matter, Chair, we are still waiting because we have written to the Local Government Service Commission and follow-ups have been made. So we are waiting for the Local Government Service Commission to guide on that matter because they are our employers.
Do you have the follow-ups attached here?
Yes, Chair. I think the letter is there, which we submitted, and other letters that we have written to the Local Government Service Commission to show that from the time when the officer went and the subsequent communication that have been made, in written and on phone conversations.
Yes, those are the ones that I wanted, the ones that we have been writing, not only ones. There were follow-ups that we have been making. Honorable Nyambosa.
Chair, I can confirm that follow-ups, the last communication was done on the 5th of September 2022 by Council Secretary Mlenga to the Commission. Chairperson, it is strange that officers can abrogate the conditions of service and the rules that are set. And the Commission is not acting. I think this matter is not for the Council Secretary. It's a very interesting matter to get from the Commission because according to the rules of the game, under HR 1 absents himself for more than 10 days, the sanctions are very clear. Assuming this was a junior officer under your charge, would you tolerate this?
You can respond yes or no.
No, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Sumumba. Yes, another question is fine.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Want to
I'll take you to page 8, Management of Local Government Equalization Fund.
page 8.
Chair, during the period under review, there was an equalization fund that was 8,614,053, and 20%, which is supposed to go to the capital, It was supposed to be 1.722. Chair, misapplication of funds. The council wishes to report that the funds were used to finance the shortfall on salaries due to a huge wage bill. Chair, my question is, by misapplying the capital funds, I'm sure some of the projects which could have benefited the community were not implemented. I would want to find out who authorized this misapplication of the capital funds to pay salaries. I submit, Chair.
Secretary,
Yes, Chair, I would love the Treasurer maybe to comment on that one.
Treasurer.
Okay. Chair, I think at the time in 2021, we didn't have authority for this one. We only managed to get authority, I think, after we appeared last year. That's when we got authority, considering that we've been having these challenges. And that's how we proceeded. So for 2021, we didn't have that authority.
Thank you. But you knew that you needed to have the authority before touching it, right?
I think the assumption was that we are going to pay back as soon as possible once
No.
we...
I'm not saying paying. Paying is fine. You can pay it after an hour, or after 2 hours, after a week, after a month. But what I'm saying is, maybe I paraphrase it. Did you go against the regulation, or you didn't?
Yes, we did go against the regulations.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
Chair, it's good that they confirm having gone against the regulation. My worry is, what motivates you when you're in your office to, with impunity, you know that this is what the government through the ministry is telling you not to do. Willfully you go against it. That is my first question. Second, Chair, they have indicated a payment plan to rebase, isn't it, Honorable? And I will take you to Appendix 7, is it Appendix 9? Appendix 9, Chair. The Treasurer has indicated, take note of my first question. The Treasurer has indicated to say that they had thought that they would do payback, isn't it? Now, if you look at the
Appendix 7.
Appendix 9, Chair, the repayment of the monies that were used by the council, on that question from Honorable Simumba, they only started paying back on 22nd of February 2023. Just last month, when they realized they will be appearing before the committee, and they made a payment of 10,000 kwacha. Chair, most interesting is this money were misapplied or misapplied in 2021. They only started paying back last month on the 22nd of February. And if you look at the payment voucher itself, Chair, I took interest. It is not authorized. It is just approved, but not authorized. I don't know who is supposed to. It is not a fully signed voucher. And you doubt the authenticity. It has no stamp on it. Is this the standard that you have now in the council, that you hastily can do a voucher without all the necessary signatories to be on the voucher and authenticate it? Those are my questions, Chair. Why paying 10,000 kwacha in February? When do you think, do you envisage to see this plan of paying back this money that you borrowed. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Internal auditor is here. You are here, internal auditor, right? Are you looking
Yes,
at
sir.
the? Are you looking at the payment voucher 693?
Yes, sir.
Down there on the approval, I think there is where you're supposed to approve, where you're supposed to put your signature somewhere. Your details and your signature. Did you do that?
Thank you, Chair. There's a communique that was made when the auditors from Minister
There's
of
what?
Finance,
Please come again. There's what?
the communication that was made through Minister of Finance auditors when they passed through our council, they advised that the vouchers are not supposed to be approved by internal auditors at the councils, so, and hence it did not pass through our office.
You have that memo.
They came through verbally, they passed through our office.
Who did that? Who gives instructions to an officer verbally from the health authority? Are those your supervisors?
No.
Just switch off your controller of internal auditor. How do you work? Is that the way you work? Anybody can wake up, even me, I can give instructions.
Thank you, Chair. Communication is done through the controller of internal audit formally. When we were going through advising, we indicated to them to say that an official communication will be laid as the situation is. They should continue doing the pre-audit following an instruction which was rendered by the Ministry of Local Government on the guidance on CDF. Thank you.
So I'm wondering how an officer would take verbal instructions and start implementing verbal instructions without a secure. How do you do that? How safe is our monies? If anybody can give you instructions, Council Secretary.
Thank you, Chair. I think the same officer was submitted. It's the one who came. In fact, we had a discussion in my office. I also argued over the same. And because I was using the audit, because we were trying to stabilize the councils when I just went there. And in terms of revenue collection, we wanted to improve on revenue collection. And I assigned him to audit as the revenue collectors submit the receipt books, because we are speculating that there was a lot of pilferage. So I assigned him to audit before the receipt books go to finance. And that's how we are moving. And we saw a lot of income coming up. And then in the process, we received the officers who came in my office, and then we had that discussion. And they said they shouldn't, it's not their responsibility to do that, but instead finance. So it is from there when they also stopped now pre-audit doing those which we are doing all along. And from there, that's where we had, in fact, they advised us, so we didn't want to go against that.
At the expense of telling you, Council Secretary, you are the principal officer at that local authority. You would not agree as well. He has just submitted now that, yes, he brought that verbal advice, but he said for now you have to continue. Are you seeing those two things? That's why you are supposed to advise him or advise the officer that came that for now we'll continue until we furnish my office with that secure.
Yeah, in fact, that's our intention. That's what we wanted to go. But again, they also concerned, because this information came from the office, which is higher than them.
It doesn't matter,
yes,
because you don't get wrong instructions or any procedural instructions, whether they come from the higher office. Dr. Chirufsha, please help us.
I think procedurally, it is important, yes, to consult when you're VH, and if you're guided informally, and it involves you taking a crucial action, it's always prudent to ask for a follow-up, backup, or in writing. Yeah, and the only defense you have in doing a particular action that is informed by your superior is to ask for a little memo. But it is not a good defense to do something wrong based on an instruction from a higher office, but you can't back it up with a written memo, because they may argue that you may have misunderstood what they told you, and it may be difficult. So I think it's important that such serious consultation, you put in writing, and you get a written feedback.
Noted, Chair.
Thank you.
Just to agree with Doc and yourself, Chair, if you look at this voucher, there are two things that you can pick there. It's either the auditor refused to authenticate the payment, because there is a provision that is still standing there for the auditor to approve, isn't it? So if he doesn't, that means for me, from outside, that the auditor did not agree with this. Second is that this thing was done hastily, knowing for sure that you are doing a wrong thing. So, as it has been advised by Dr. Chilufya and the chair here, it's better you follow authority. And when you do this, you must stamp them. You have a stamp in the auditor or now when it comes plain like this, it's questionable. Then the area question is, when do you intend to liquidate this borrowing? If you are paying 10,000 kwacha in February for monies borrowed in 2021.
Treasurer, it has taken you more than 1 year to start paying 10,000. That is very worrying.
Yes, Chair. For 2020, yes, this borrowing was done in 2021. And I think after our appearance last year, we had to reorganize ourselves. Like he had earlier reported, that we have stopped touching capital. So now we need to stabilize in terms of local revenues, that we're able now to meet up the difference in terms of the salary. So it took us time for us now to just get back to stabilize, for us to be able now to start paying back and be able to meet the deficit on the salaries as we progress. That's why it has taken long. But we hope, since it's 10,000 per month, we are hoping by next year we should be done in June to clear off the whole amount.
Chair.
Honorable Smomba.
Thank you very much, Chair.
As we begin to wind up.
Yes, Chair. Council Chair, Council Secretary, this money is the capital money that is supposed to benefit the community. I want to find out, Chair, who is going to bear the difference in an event that you start, because you are going, from now, you are going to finish in June next year. Looking into account that there is also the exchange rate has changed, things have, they're expensive and so forth. Who is going to bear the difference in cost in an event that we are going, the project that we are going to do? I want to find out from the CS Chair. Thank you.
Councillor Dr. Chilufya.
Chair, projects under capital are implemented as money accumulates. And already, Chair, we, out of the same money, we have, as they accumulate, we are buying or things that we are budgeted for. I can give you an example of the vehicle that we have procured to help in terms of revenue mobilization. So this money is coming from the same capital fund. So we implement as money accumulates. So because grants come monthly, and when they accumulate, that's when we also implement certain projects within their monies available.
Dr. Chilufya.
As Chair has already indicated that we are winding up, I just want to advise CS to ensure that we up our game in revenue generation. We've already noted here that you've had to use equalization fund, to fund other areas, which has been classified as misapplication. Now the real cause is that you don't have revenue, so you ought to be aggressive in revenue generation. It's the reason why I'm saying even your plan to create more plots is a statement of intent to raise revenue, only it should be done correctly. But if you map your area accurately and engage your stakeholders, business stakeholders, you should be able to find adequate revenue. There is enough revenue. All you need to do is invest in human capital, aggressive enough to engage and raise that revenue for you to provide services and meet your obligations. It's also good to pay your salaries gross. You don't just net off, you just don't pay the net and then withhold, use the monies meant for NIMA, meant for NAPSA, or anywhere on other areas. I think it's important that you plan to pay everything at a go so that you don't accumulate this. But like I said earlier on, focus on revenue generation. If you're going to consume for operations, for administration, for social services, you must create that revenue base.
Yes, short one.
Chair, I still have questions. One is on page 7, failure to provide protective clothing for firefighters. Then I'll end with the page 13, unremitted statutory obligations. I will start with the first one, Chair. Why had it to take the council up to the visit of the auditors, external auditors, for you to provide that entitlement to the firefighters, 13 of them, no combat uniform? From 2021, you had to pay on 14th February this year. After realizing that you'll be appearing before this committee, that is when you went to procure this combat uniform. And for it, I don't know if you have fully paid for it. Why does it take you something that is an entitlement to workers who are providing very important service and risking their lives? They are not in protective clothing. What more with those who are handling garbage? That is my first question, Council Secretary. The other one, Chair, is on page 13. Failure to remit statutory and other obligations. My particular interest on the schedule there is on the remittance of funeral to Madison funeral grants to Madison, and the medical insurance. Council Secretary, how are your members accessing these important services from Madison or any other institution if you are not able to remit that which you deduct every month from them? Are they getting the service that is needed? And lastly, how many months are you in arrears, if at all you are in arrears? What is your wage bill? And how much are you getting from government as local government equalization fund on page 14? I submit, Chair.
Council Secretary.
Thank you so much, Chair. I will tackle the first and second. Then, as regard to how many months, I think the Treasurer will come in. As to why it has taken so long to procure the protective gear for fire officers, Chair, as we have already indicated, the financial challenge is what caused that. And it's not that because we were about to appear before this committee, that's why we procured this. It's because of the same challenges. And as the council, we were trying to stabilize, as the Treasurer has already said. And it is from that background that we are now able to start procuring these protective clothing, and we make sure that we buy all the items that fire officers need. So the challenge is revenue, and as the Honorable Chitalu mentioned it, we have to focus. In fact, that's the same thing that we have been talking about even recently, before we even came here. We had the general meeting for the general workforce. We are talking about the same, that we need all of us, we need to focus on revenue mobilization so that we are able to meet things that we are failing to meet. Because obviously we should it should start from ourselves before we even get support from the external authority. That's a Chair. Then the next one is on the statutory contribution. I think it's one and the same issue of revenue. I think that's why we wrote even to the ministry, and the ministry responded that they will revise. We wrote last year, and they responded that they will revise our equalization fund because they look at the challenge that we are facing. And they sent even the property lieu of rates. They gave us about 120, which we paid also to NAPSA. And then they promised that this year they'll be able to revise our equalization fund so that at least we can meet somewhere than the current status. Okay. I submit then for the number of months, I think Treasurer can also add.
Yes, Treasurer.
Okay, Chair, the number of months that we have in arrears is 4 months for Luangwa Town Council.
4 months?
Yes, 4 months. And the wage bill, as at 2021, we are standing at about 1,057,000. As at 2022, it has gone up to about 1,100,000 after the increment that was given in January to the workers. And our allocation for the LGA, for the Local Government Equalization Fund, is at 885,000 kwacha per month.
Yes, Treasurer.
So basically, Council Secretary, you are indicating that without local government equalization fund, the council cannot function. Because if you look at the allocation of the local government equalization fund, gross, before removing the 20% of capital, you have 885, whilst your wage bill is 1,100,000. Do you confirm that you have a bloated labor force for Luangwa Council? And how many employees do you have to sustain your operations? Thank you.
Secretary.
Thank you, Chair. In terms of workforce, as we have already submitted, there are other positions which are not yet filled. And that's the more reason why we need to fill those positions gradually, because of the same challenge that we are having. Now, we can't confirm that this is a bloated workforce because there are other positions that are not filled. But what is there is that the current workforce, I think, can be sustained if we can just get just an upward adjustment. Then we will be able to operate effectively. Than again having more officers at the same time. I think would not sustain that one.
Thank you.
Super one. You are contradicting yourself. You are saying that you still have gaps. Then again you are saying you don't need more staff. So what are you saying? You cannot sustain the operations, administrative operations of the council with the same local government equalization fund. You need more. And you cannot collect local taxes to sustain the operations of the council. So Luangwa Council cannot exist without support of government. Do you confirm?
Secretary.
Yes, Chair.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Luangwa Town Council, before we finalize, I will ask the permanent witnesses for comments with the General's office.
Thank you, Chair. CS and your team, we have taken note of your submission to the committee. We are still coming to do the audits for 2022, and we will look at your submission to the committee and the documents that you have submitted. Please take note. I submit, Chair.
Yeah, from the Ministry of Finance, I'm sure you've taken heed of the advice of the Honorable Committee before you. Just put those things into perspective, especially with regards to the issues of revenue mobilization. Then secondly, as you implement your mandate and discharge your functions, so please take care of issues to do with financial regulations and all public financial management reforms that are being championed by central government. Thank you.
From the Controller of Internal Audit, CS and your management team, you are aware that we have embarked on a very ambitious agenda to have zero audit queries, and we're doing that through various interventions, such as engagement with yourself, which we began last year. We strongly advise you to utilize the Internal Audit Office because they are your eyes. They are your control consciousness at the local authority. Please utilize them, utilize their being there. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. CS and your team, I think what is key here is your revenue base that you need to work at. Your geographical location is really at a cutting edge. Position yourself as central government is doing an increased capacity of a barge over the Zambezi River. I think that will work for your revenue. The other place, I think, as much as the Luangwa Bridge area is under Rufunsa, but you are closer to it. How much do you take advantage of that? I think those are issues that will help you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Luangwa Town Council. Thank you for your submissions, but as everybody else has commented, that there are gaps in many areas. We want you to go and put your house in order and make sure that you do what you are supposed to be doing. The issue of dump site, the issue of firefighters, and many other gaps, we want them to be given the attention that they deserve. With that said, I now wish to withdraw the immunity that was conferred on you at the beginning of the meeting and allow you to travel back as you came. We wish you well. Thank you.
It's such a free upgrade, now 40 on entertainment.
This too could be yours.
That's right, it's your free upgrade. Pay for access and get upgraded to family.
Oh.
Pay for family and get upgraded to compact.
You know what I mean.
Pay for compact and get upgraded to compact plus.
Absolute ripper.
And when you pay for compact plus, the best is yours with premium.
It's gonna be lit.
It's your free upgrade, now 40 only with DSTV.
Dad, a lot has been said about me. I've been demonized, I've been ridiculed and called names by people who have no idea what kind of a person I am. But now, the time has come for me to prove what a powerhouse I am. I want to prove that I'm human too, that I have feelings, and I have people who care for me just as I care for them. It's time for me to bear it all. Matale Mwanza Unscripted, coming soon.
My name is Jacqueline Sabao, Member of Parliament for Chikankata constituency in the Southern Province of Zambia. I was born on 29th September 1975 in Kafiwe. I started my school in Chikankata at Kavo Secondary School now in Chief Naluama area. Later, I went to Nakatete Primary School because my parents were living in Kafiwe. And then my secondary school, I was at Naboe Secondary School in Kafiwe. Then I went to do my accounts at Ivarin Horn College. Later, I went to the university to do my undergraduate in development studies. And then I did my master's in public administration at Lusaka University. However, I also worked, my first employment was with MS Zambia, where I was a programs officer. Then I went to COMESA headquarters as a programs officer under the youth department. From there, I also did a lot of research. There was a program under the University of Zambia Development Studies Department where we had a research program sponsored by Copenhagen University of Denmark. I was a researcher there. Later in years, I thought of starting my own business, a company business called Just Investment Limited. We deal in construction and general supply. I'm the director of that company. I am married and I have 3 children, all boys. Chikankata constituency is a Lolo constituency, and as we all know, it was given the status of a district in 2013 under the leadership of the late President, Mr. Michael Sata. And Chikankata is an agriculture area. However, we have a lot of challenges as a district because being an agriculture area, the most challenge we have is the road network. It's very difficult for our people to take their products to the market because of the poor road network. And then the other thing is that our people, they depend on livestock. But at the moment also, the other challenge we have is the issue of the diseases. As we all know, in the past years, Ministry of Livestock, they are not employing extension officers. Hence, our people, they don't have the information on how to take care of their livestock. And around 1989, a lot of our animals died. And hence, the levels of poverty went high in Chikankata, and our people started charcoal burning, which has also affected the environment. At the moment, Chikankata is one of the constituencies that have been hit by the climatic change because of lack of trees, meaning it has also affected the land pattern in our area. So especially the northern side, Chief Nalwama, the rain pattern there is not good, but on the other side, it's fine. But like I've said earlier on, the issue of the road network at the moment is poor, and it has really affected our agriculture activities, which is the main source of income for the people of Chikankata.